Welcome back, friends. I'm so happy to be back with you for a second season of A Culture of Inspiration. I'm your host, Sarah Brown, co-owner of Counterculture DIY and your inside source for all things resin art. In this season, I'll be introducing you to a variety of individuals from varied backgrounds to discuss all different kinds of topics that I think will inspire you in your artistry. From social media branding to handling difficult clients, I've picked topics that are tailored to you as an artist, and I can't wait to share. So what are we waiting for? Let's jump right on in and get creative. Hi friends, just dropping in to quickly talk to you about CultureCon. Have you heard about it yet? Counterculture DIY is putting on the event of the year, March 25th and 26th, 2022 in Fayetteville, Arkansas. We'll have 17 of the best artists in the acrylic pouring, resin art, tumbler making, mixed media, and chalk paint worlds there to teach and inspire you. We'll have retail vendors selling all things art so that you can go home with a suitcase packed full of supplies. We'll have an after-hours freestyle party where you can come and celebrate and craft into the night with your friends. And best of all, guys, I'll be there. Come give me a hug or a firm handshake, meet me and the CCDIY team, and let's have a blast. Tickets are on sale now at counterculturediy.com. I cannot wait to see you all at CultureCon 2022. How many of you find yourselves chasing down a new hobby every week? I won't make you raise your hand, but do you have craft rooms full of supplies for projects you got inspired to start but you never finished? Or how about, in addition to being an artist, are you also passionate about literature or dogs or fashion or cooking or all of the above, and you just don't know how to market yourself? I have struggled with these issues myself for as long as I can remember. I find myself wanting to do everything, but not really knowing how to bring it all together. And I've often felt like a failure because I was driven by too many interests. But I recently met Janet Van Wyck, and she has changed my perspective on my tendency to be drawn toward anything and everything creative. And not only that, but she's given me a name for that character trait. So today I'm sitting down with Janet. She is a life coach and she specializes in helping multi-creative and multi-passionate women harness all of their creative powers and create a cohesive online presence. I think you're going to find Janet's perspective refreshing and fascinating. And if you're a multi-creative like I am, I'm sure you're going to find some nuggets of wisdom here that you can start implementing today. Well, welcome, Janet. We are so excited to have you on the podcast today. I would love for you to just start by telling our audience what it is that you do and how you got into it.
My goodness, that is a big subject. Thank you so much for inviting me to come on. I am a brand coach and a content strategist. And I know that sounds very broad and sometimes confusing. So if I were to explain it in a nutshell, branding isn't just your logo and your colors. As a person, you are a brand. And what you are bringing to your online space to represent who you are and what you are offering and ultimately would like to earn money from is really important now, because our consumers are really educated and they don't want to just buy now. They want to have a relationship with you before they commit. So my focus is, first of all, making sure that you select the right places online to fit your communication and your lifestyle style, something that would highlight you the best. And then we take a look at where exactly you want to be on social media and what you want to achieve, making sure that that's in line with what's comfortable for you and your ultimate end result. Then we get into the really interesting stuff, which is the brand expression. And that is taking a look at everything that makes up you, everything that is interesting. Now, I have a special love for my female entrepreneurs over 50, and many of them are what we call multi-passionate, and they are the creatives. And more times than not, they could get up and speak for 30 minutes as an expert on multiple things. Many times it's 4, 5, 6 different things, and feel really comfortable and make a difference to the people who are listening to them. These are multi-passionate people, and they don't like to be narrowed down or funneled down to 1 or 2 things that their brand represents. There is a way to bring all the magnificent parts of your creativity into your brand expression. So we take a look at that. Your brand expression is what makes up your content. It's what makes up who you are online. And then we take a look at how do you bring that online? Where is it? Making sure all of the places that you are online are consistent so that no matter where you are, if somebody happens to stumble across your bio on a different platform, they recognize you and want to click in. So giving you a total brand identity, it's really important. And it's really important now that we have an audience that has been educated through COVID. We have pivoted. We're on our 3rd pivot now from COVID to the way people consume. And we have to be willing to move in the direction of what they're expecting from us in order to be the person that stands out amongst everybody else that's doing the same thing.
I think you're so right about, consumers wanting more from us. It's not just about them happening upon a website and deciding to purchase or deciding to subscribe. They want to know more. They want to connect. And COVID probably plays a big part in promoting that, with us really needing that connection that we haven't been getting for the last couple of years.
Absolutely. COVID catapulted us forward so many years, I dare say decade, in the way that we consume and what we expect from our brands before we engage to buy their service or their product. Before, it was much easier because you would get on, you'd be a little cute, you'd educate them on your product or service, and they would click in and connect with you that way. But now people want you to educate them. They want to find out how you do it, why you do it that way. What are the kids doing while you're doing that? Why did you choose that particular brand? If you're creating something and you have 10 products to create it, why did you choose that brand over another? They want your whole thought process. They want to feel like they're in the room with you, like they're your BFF, and developing that relationship. The hard thing for us to keep in mind when we are the brand that's presenting the information is that we have an audience of thousands that we don't know are seeing us, and they're developing a relationship with us. We don't know who they are, so we're not developing the relationship with them. So it's such a reality. And I think when people are presented with the idea that you have to create an avatar, they're not quite understanding that side of it. It's not just a set of information of who your ideal person is. You have to make that avatar a real person with a personality, so that as you're talking, you are actually talking to an audience with a personality, so you know what it is they're connecting with. And you can feel that level of connection by the comments that are made, and go forward with that.
What would you say is the best tip for making the broadest connection when you are just almost, it feels like you're just talking into the void when you're online and you've got people out there and you're just starting out, you don't know who that audience is yet, these people that you haven't met. How do you connect with them the best?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is you should know who the audience is. They don't know who you are yet.
Okay.
But you should know who ideally they are, so that when you are creating your content and you're talking, you are talking as though they are there, because you don't know if somebody's watching or not. You have to be wise with your selection of your primary social media platform to make sure it fits your personality voice the best, and it's the most comfortable for you, because that's where you'll come across the best. And you have to make sure that it's where your audience is going to be. As a new person, I would say make sure that you are understanding the process, that the attraction model is a funnel. And at the top, you're talking to a lot of people and you're giving them free information. As you're moving them down, it's because you're getting them to invest in you to some degree. The first investment is staying on the platform and staying with you on that post or that video to listen to it. Second would be making a comment. So a call to action, inviting them to make a comment or answer a question. The third would be to be offering a free lead magnet that they could go. Each one is bringing them down the funnel of investing something to make the connection with you. And that's what your whole scope of creating content is all around. So with each piece you do, you stop and think, is this to entertain? Is this to educate? Or is this directly connected with my service or my product that I want to move them into? And you kind of go with that. Really important is the platform you're on and how you're approaching the content that you're bringing.
So when you talk about which platforms to go for, would you say some are targeted more towards age specific or more hobby specific? What's the best way to pick that platform, especially as an artist, like most of our audience would be?
First of all, before you pick a social media platform, you have to be someplace online off of social media. So either your own website, on YouTube, on Pinterest, or some place that isn't social media based, because if social media disappears, you do not want to lose your customer base. Secondly, when you're selecting your primary social media platform, you have to understand that they are created for specific purposes. Some of them are nurturing platforms, which are there to nurture the people that you've already gathered. That would be Instagram. It's not designed to attract a lot of new people and bring them in. TikTok is designed to attract people, to bring the masses in by the way that they have set up their algorithm. They take your content and they constantly put it in front of new people. It's one of the few platforms that does that. So understanding the platform that you're on and utilizing it the best is key. So if you are at a place where you have enough people and you want to nurture them, you might bring them into a Facebook group. You might bring them onto Instagram. Yes, there are some loose age categories, not as much as there have been in the past. It used to be Instagram was strictly for the millennials, and Facebook was for the old people, and TikTok was for the teens, but it's not so much anymore. TikTok has a broad range. I mean, I have a video on TikTok and I set up my videos and I talk specifically to the over 50, and I've posted it twice. One has got 1.2 million and the other one has 800,000. So the older crowd, the boomers, the Gen Jonesers, Gen X, they are there as well. You have to just decide what it is that you ultimately want to get from the platform that you're on. So I can't just say, if you're this age, if you're into crafts, you go onto that platform. It has a lot to do with if you are an artist and you don't know how to present. Let's say you have canvases, and on Facebook or on Instagram, you'd be doing pictures of the canvases and posting them and trying to get people to engage that way. Well, on TikTok, you would be giving them tips and tricks on how to do that. What do you do with a canvas when you first get it? You might do an unwrapping of a canvas. What do you check? Do you do a base coat? Do you gesso it? What are your favorite brushes? And so you're kind of bringing them into the studio and giving them an experience alongside with the finished product. And let's take a look at the gallery of pictures that I have. And then you send them off. Go to my bio. There's a link to where you can buy my product, that type of thing. So it's all in your personality style, your voice, whether you want your face on camera or just your hands, what else you have going on to complement what you're doing on social media. But it's really important to make sure that you develop your brand and just don't depend on popping on to social media and getting it. I'll give you an example. If somebody comes to me and they say, okay, I don't understand why people aren't quite clicking into what I do or who I am. I'm on Facebook. I have a page. I have a profile. I have an Instagram. I got a little bit on YouTube, and I started a TikTok a couple of months ago. I go to all of their profile or their bio pages, and they're all different. One might have a picture of her with her dog in the cover and a family picture as the profile picture. And the bio would say, doggy mummy loving to paint in my living room. Well, that's not a bio that's going to attract a buyer. It doesn't really say what you do. It's kind of cute. It's the way Facebook bios used to be. All your bios should kind of match. You should have a bio explanation between 110 and 140 characters that you can adapt and put on each place that you are showing up that gives that same message. The picture should be consistent. The profile picture should be consistent across them. A picture of you smiling, engaging people. So they recognize, they might be scrolling through and see your picture and go, oh, yes, I saw her. Let's go in here and see what she's all about. If you're different everywhere and you're just loosey-goosey, it's not going to help to develop your brand identity. What you say and the pictures that you show in these different places, the videos that you share, that develops your brand presence and your brand expression and how people are going to move toward you more than where exactly are you.
This is such good information. And it's got me thinking about all of my different bios and my different headshots.
It's totally okay to have a different headshot in each location. But I would suggest if you want to do that, and I do this because if you have more than one account in a specific location, it's hard to tell which one you're on sometimes. Get it in the same photo shoot. Like if you're wearing a red top and your hair is a specific way and you've taken 6 or 7 different pictures, use those pictures. Know which one represents each specific platform. But as somebody scrolling by, they'll recognize it's you because it's within the same gallery from the same photo shoot.
Yeah, I can see that. And the same hair color or...
I have seen, especially from my creative ladies, I have seen some amazing profile pictures, but they're very artsy. A very good friend of mine has an amazing silhouette of her in grays that is very striking artistically, but it doesn't do anything to tell who she is as a brand.
Do you think that those pictures need to be just a clear representation of your face, like more of a welcoming, this is my friend type face?
Again, depending on your brand. If you are a lawyer and you're on there creating your brand identity, you want to be relaxed and positive looking, but not necessarily so smiley and engaging. And like sometimes I put up kooky pictures because that is my brand. I'm classy, I'm sassy, I'm very positive, I'm to the point, and I coach through that brand type that's true to who I am. If I were a doctor or a lawyer, I might want to put my lab coat on as a doctor and look a little more professional, but approachable. If I were a real estate agent, I might be dressed up a little more dressy, unless the audience that you're hoping to reach is a mom of 2 who stays at home and has 3 cats and a dog and works out in the garden. Then I wouldn't be so polished looking. You have to consider who it is that you're trying to attract.
That is so interesting and valuable, and not something that I guess I personally have thought of a lot for myself. I've not been selling myself as much, but now that you've talked about this, I think, yeah, I need to go back through all my social media platforms and look at my bio, and because they all were set up at different times in my life. And some of them I've not even revisited in a year, probably, to update or make them cohesive. So there's a lot of value there. That's something that I know I'll be doing as soon as I hop off of this podcast. So I'm sure that our listeners will be too.
Some of the platforms are very, although they're not business forward, they accommodate different aspects of business very well. Like the cover photo in any Facebook location can be clicked into. And when you click into it, you can put a comment about a specific thing, an actual link for them to go buy or learn something to a different place. Facebook has feature pictures now, which do the same type of thing. You can click into them. It provides you with different links that you can get set up. I think the biggest mistake on Facebook that people make is they put too much about their history and the things that they like. I have seen myself trying to get to a product or a course on a person's profile in Facebook, and they have so many little icons of I'm a dog mom, I'm a cat mom, I go fishing, I like this, and all of those things that they bring you through the about section. The more you put there, the longer the journey is for somebody to get to the important information, and you have 3 seconds. So if they have to swipe up 5, 6, 7, 8 times to get to your first post, they're gone. You've missed the opportunity.
That is really a rabbit hole that's easy to go down too, because when you set up a profile, they encourage you to.
What high school did you go to? What groups are you a part of? Yeah. The more you put, the faster people are going to leave and not see your content.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that's just really clicking with me. What purpose do you want on this social media? Is it just to connect with people that you went to high school with, or is it to sell yourself and your product and your brand? So that is so valuable.
Absolutely.
Well, Janet, something that you talk about a lot is how you help people make a cohesive brand out of multiple passions. And I love the word that you use, multi-passionate and multi-creative. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and how to bring that all together, all those interests and passions under one umbrella?
Absolutely. Many people are going to say, I'm multi-passionate. And what they're referring to is, I'm a self-employed entrepreneur and this is my business, but I have to go on Canva and I have to create this. And then I have to do the bookkeeping and then I have to do this and I have to do that. Those people are what I call multi-skilled and multifunctioned. These are all roles that people have to play in their business. They're not necessarily passionate about them. I have to do the bookkeeping, but you can be sure I'm not going to get up on stage and talk for an hour about it and sound like any kind of person who's making sense. Multi-passionate are the people who, and I would say 80% of the time, they are also multi-creatives. They will start one thing with 150% enthusiasm and passion, and they just go in, and usually they speed past all the basic parts of it and jump right into the expert level or the advanced level because they can do it. That's the way they are. And they'll work on that for a little bit. And then it's like shiny object, right? Something else goes, oh, yes, absolutely. And you jump into that one with the same passion and vigor and skill level. And you keep moving. And there are so many things connected to that can pull you off and take you sideways. So what I do with my true multi-passionates, and these are my ladies, and I say ladies, and I know there's guys listening, but it's a need to have new presented into their life. We are collectors of information. We are collectors of skill, and we're kind of like a reservoir. We'll go out, we'll figure it out, and we'll get it done, and we need to move on to feed that part of us. Identify that a true multi-passionate doesn't have to search for a dopamine hit. We get our dopamine hit when we're in our passion. We can go from, oh, I don't really feel like doing anything, just leave me alone and give me a coffee so I can stay awake, to in a moment, we're in our passion. You brought up a subject I want to, oh yes, I've got it here. Let's talk. And you're 150% engaged in it because we get our dopamine hit. Some people have to go to social media and they get caught on social media. Other people have to do other things. We get it in our passions, in our variety of passions. So what I do is I have my ladies sit down with a notebook and begin to write a list of what are all the things you get really excited about doing, you're really passionate about. Just name them and list them all. A person who's not multi-passionate might come up with 10, 12 different things that they do. A multi-passionate might have a list of 25 or 30. And where I take them is, okay, now take a look at that and group them. Go in to this list of 25, 30, 50, 100, whatever you've come up with. Group them into things that relate to each other, because a multi-passionate creative might be like oil painting, but also like watercolors and sketching and this and that. But you know what? I think it's really cool to do interior decorating, or, and they'll have a whole bunch of different things. Well, there are definite categories there. So I have them go in and color code, or however they want to do, to identify what categories they fit in. And ultimately, they usually come down to 4 or 5 main categories that all of this stuff fits into. My next step would be, which category is truly you? Which one is your primary heart and soul? The one that you always fall into. That is your main brand. That is usually where the product that you're producing, or the service or whatever it is, falls into. The other 4 or 5 things, you select the ones that relate most closely to the primary one, and you keep them handy because they form part of your brand identity and your brand expression. They're the things that you bring in to your posts and your videos that are apart from your problem solution offer. Problem solution offer used to be the perfect framework for what you were bringing to social media a couple of years ago. But now that we're through COVID and people want to be entertained and they want to be engaged and have a relationship with you, they need to know more than just your problem solution offer. They want to know who you are, what makes you tick, what excites you. So if I'm going to give an example, I'm a brand coach and a content strategist. I work with my Gen X and Gen Jones ladies, and I have a special passion for the ladies who are multi-passionate, because as I'm coaching, being a multi-passionate myself, I can give special little tweaks. But if you go on my TikTok and on my website, you'll see I'm also really passionate about being ageless and amazing, which involves vitality and understanding how to be healthy and vibrant as you age so that you can continue your business and continue working. So it relates in that way. In that category, my old career as being an esthetician and a makeup artist is in there, as is my old interest in, I met my husband as a bodybuilder, and I've been in yoga and different types of fitness. That's in there. Mindset work, it's all in being ageless and amazing, because it relates to my perfect customer, my 50 plus customer. I also have a huge interest in vision boards and mindset work in that capacity. That is part of my brand, but it also relates or can be brought into an interest point for my ideal person. So I have 3, 4 main interests from my multi-passionate life that I can bring in, other than just, let's get your online presence shored up. So it draws people closer to me. Those are, and what it does for me being multi-passionate is when I get tired or distracted from talking about branding, I can go and talk about the food I ate. I can talk about tips that you need to be a professional. This is what you do, for an older woman with her makeup. I can talk about how do you get the energy up and the mindset in order to get out and do it again. So it feeds my other passions. And another way to do it is to structure the jobs that you do. Once you identify that you're multi-passionate and you take a look at the responsibilities that you have in your business, feed them into your multiple passions. For example, doing cover photos for a podcast that I'm planning. I had to go into Canva, kind of create the brand presence, the physical print background for it. And I created one. That took me 45 minutes to an hour to get it all figured out. I was there really enjoying that part of my creativity. So I created 52 of them that were a little bit different, one for each week going through the year. Now I know my brand is going to be consistent for it. People will be able to identify it right off. I no longer have to address that when I'm not feeling in that creative passion and it's done, but I met that need and I can move on to a different one. So it's how you use your multi-passionate funnels or categories, little baskets, learning how to use them to benefit you instead of being a slave to shiny object syndrome.
Janet, that is going to resonate with our listeners so much. All of our listeners that I connect with on social media, it's this constant, what you call the shiny object syndrome.
Shiny objects.
We're all so guilty of it, so victimized by it, by our own tendency to just, I think it's a love for life, really. Like you said, we don't need to search for a dopamine hit. I can find it in any room of my house. I can go into my craft room. I can go in there and stay for hours. And I've got 10 different art forms in there to work on. I've got a music room I can go into and stay for hours. And I know that our listeners are the same way. And it's, what's the newest craze? Oh, I've got to get on it. Is it something new in tumblers? Oh, now it's beads. Now it's imprinting t-shirts. Oh,
Yeah. You know the saying that it takes a town to raise a child. And it's not because you need so many people to watch them and babysit. It's what these people bring that's unique. The multi-passionate part of that town are the information gatherers. You have creators that are strictly creators and they're experts in what they do. And they create these trends, whether it's the beading or the tumblers or the whatever. And we see them and we go, oh, I have to gather this information to bring it to the people who might be interested in introducing that into their life, not at the expert or I'm going to go into business with it level, but just to have it in their life. So we are a sector. It's not a shiny object syndrome, and there's language that makes it negative. It's said to us with a negative connotation that, oh, she doesn't keep her focus. She's just, there she is. She's off again. Wonder what she's doing now. But when you begin to understand that it is your job to be flittering around just like a bee, going from flower to flower, collecting all of this information so that you can send it to where it needs to be, produce what you need to produce, share with people. And it's other people's jobs to either develop it, create it, stick to it, or find it and support and create the substructure and support, to have that going, create the materials. We don't create the resins. We don't create the canvases. That's another person who is more tactile in their love. And that's why that's our job in that town, the community that needs to raise that child. So it's a positive. It's not a negative. And we're meant to be that way because people need us.
I love it. I love to look at it that way. And I think you've kind of come full circle from how you have to present yourself online, build your brand, and then also harnessing all those wonderful talents and interests that you have. I was on someone's Facebook page just last night and something that she had caught my eye. But when I clicked onto her Facebook page, it was a business page. I couldn't actually figure out if what I had clicked on there for was even something she did.
Right.
And it went from selling stencils to make t-shirts to her handmade crochet things, but I couldn't tell if she was selling the handmade crochet things. And it looked like maybe she had gotten out of making the stencils for the t-shirts, which is what I clicked on there for. And so as you've been talking, I've been thinking about her, and I'm sure she's not listening, but I think about that and how I can apply that lesson to my own social media, because I just saw those pitfalls she had fallen into that you talked about. She's interested in 100 different things. She seems to be very good at them, but I couldn't tell what I was supposed to buy from her.
Yeah.
And what I clicked on her page for, she seemed to have gotten out of.
Yeah.
So
it's difficult. There are so many multi-passionate creatives that don't necessarily have a product that they want to sell, or there's a lot of related little products that they hope if they sell enough that they will make money from. And there are ways to do that. It's very different from if I am an artist selling a $500 canvas. Okay, let's take the most, and I'm going to use a negative word. I'm going to say the most distracted, multi-passionate. And I'm going to say that for a reason. This is the individual that needs to be her fingers in each and every type of thing and has to be right at the front of the trend and learn them all and maybe not delve in deeply. So what she would do on social media and what she could potentially be doing for her business is branding herself as, if you want to know what's new and current in the crafting area, stay with me. I will be covering this for this week, this on Monday, whatever it is. Give them a little how-tos, little buying tips and tricks, compare some different brands, maybe some going over to YouTube, then how-to videos on how to use these specific things. If you design your YouTube well enough, you will get sponsorships through there and begin to earn money there. But she's not actually producing a product herself that she's making. So selecting the right social media to show little shorts, how do you do, and little reviews, and getting people to know her, because one week she's doing this, the next week she's doing something else, and the week after, they know she's going to introduce new products. She might say on Monday, I will be introducing new products strictly. And from that, I'm going to choose one and we'll follow it through on the different brands, the different things you'd need to do it on Tuesday, Wednesday. Let's show you the actual technique that you'd need to use. And here's some finished products of what you can hope to, that type of thing. And then the following Monday, a whole bunch of new things. And maybe from feedback, people can say, oh, we want to learn more about this one. And so that would be your distracted lady creating a business. She could have little teaching videos that she's charging $7.99 for or something that people can go in and have a whole library of those. That would feed her particular brand of multi-passionate.
So there's hope for people like me who...
Absolutely. You just need to know what to do with it. And TikTok is huge for that type of market with the supporting off social media platform of YouTube and Pinterest.
I think this is going to hit home with 99% of the people listening to this podcast. I know this is just the topic that we address over and over. It's something that I guess I would say struggle. And I know you said the language, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's something that I need to better harness, maybe is the better way to say that, because I'm into everything. And I know so many of my creative friends are the same way. They have so many different ways they love to express themselves. And how can you turn that into something truly productive where you're fulfilling your mission, putting out there into the world what you've got and not just chasing a bunch of piles of unfinished projects or unstarted projects.
Right. That's actually a good segue into something I'd like to mention. And you touched on it with the level of importance that it has for you. We talk about our passions, and a lot of people don't understand that there are different categories or different levels of passion. And one of them specifically is there to relieve you from the stresses of life and the stresses of your day and to bring your cortisol level down. And if you use that as part of your entrepreneurial adventures, then you are taking the ability to get away from the stressful parts of it. You're taking that away and you have nothing to resort to. So I like to say you have three passions. You have your pastime passion, which is the thing that you do with the family for fun, with friends. You go, the play, what you do, your play. You have your pleasure passion, which is the thing that you do when you want to close out the world and you just want to meet that creative need, and then you have your purpose passion. And it's the purpose passion that should be driving whatever business it is that you are looking for or moving toward. You use your pleasure passion as your escape from the world as your means to control or reduce your stress level. Now, you can take some parts of that and bring it into your business, but you have to be really careful not to make it. Like so many people say, oh, you're so good at that and you really enjoy doing it. You should make it your career, your business. But when you do that, you have to be really aware that with that comes marketing and accounting and inventory control. You no longer can just have a bunch of stuff, paints and brushes, and you have to be keeping inventory, because how do you price your work? So if you lock your pleasure pastime deeply into your business, you may lose the ability to get the de-stressing effect that you used to get, because it's always connected with I got to make sales calls. Oh, I got to sit and enter all of those receipts. Oh, I've got to reconcile my bank. Oh, I've got to go on there and I got to do another post related to that. Oh, I got to create that. Of course, it's connected to a lot of things that are negative for you. If you're lucky enough that you have somebody who will handle those highly stressful parts of the business, like the accounting or the social media market or whatever, and it leaves the passion part as true passion for you, then that's a possibility. Go for it. But just be aware when you select that particular passion that there's a lot of things that you may not enjoy doing that cause you stress that will be connected now with that passion that wasn't connected to it before.
Well, Janet, is there anything else that you feel like our listeners could benefit from? I know my mind is reeling from everything we've talked about. So
I think first and foremost, you have to decide why you want to be on social media. What part of you is it fulfilling? What outcome do you hope to have from it? And when you decide that and you identify how much effort can I put into social media where it's not impacting my family and my life, and it's not making my passion feel like a bad place to be, then you're ready to consider having an online presence for a business. After that, it's a matter of write that list out, create your categories of interests, figure out which one is your main one, go from there. And I think you'll have a pretty cohesive idea of how you can not rein in all of the multi-passions, but it will put them into perspective okay, these other ones that I didn't select as the main and the two supporting, they're really my pastimes. They don't relate to my business or anything. And so I'll do them in my pastime hours, not my business hours, and setting up blocks of time to contain those things so that they don't interrupt with the business time that you've allotted will go a long way to not being taken off course.
I'm hearing it's okay to keep something for yourself.
Absolutely.
And not sell it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you were to look behind me in my business studio around branding and business, I have a whole wall of drawers of all of my art supplies that I might jump into twice or three times a year, and then I'll be consumed by it for weeks. And then they're put away. But I know where their place is now, but they're close at hand to inspire me. They're close at hand. If I feel myself getting, and it did happen this year, my fascination for this multimedia painting of a woman's head with all of the different layers of abstract colors and textures and everything on top, I became so enamored with it that I had to start collecting the materials just in case. I wanted to jump into it. And it actually made me feel like I was more a part of that experience, even though I'm not doing it. So they're there, they're waiting. It filled the need, but it didn't distract me from my business. So absolutely keep something for yourself.
Well, Janet, where can our listeners find you if they want to learn more, connect with you?
I'm on social media just about everywhere under my full name, Janet Van Wyck. And my website is my full name, and my YouTube is my full name. So I'm everywhere.
And we'll have links to that in the show notes for everyone. And you can click and follow Janet and learn more about what we've talked about today. She has so much to share. And I'm sure that you're all going to want to delve into these topics about branding yourself and harnessing all of those passions that you've got to use them to their fullest. So I know I'm going to get started as soon as I stop recording this podcast. So
you'll find me mostly on TikTok.
Okay. And it's Janet Van Wyck, and that's WYCK, which will be in the show notes.
Yes.
And Janet, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some of your expertise. I have enjoyed it so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Everyone, make sure that you're following Janet and stay tuned for our next episode next week. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed the episode and took something away from it that you can use. If you loved the show, be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app, and I'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review. It's important to me to create content that's relevant, educational, and inspiring, so feel free to reach out to me with suggestions. I'm on all the socials at Counterculture DIY. And if you're not already a member of our Facebook Counterculture DIY Artist Support Group, I'd love to connect with you in there too. We have a lot of fun. I'll be back next week with another episode. But till then, keep creating.